just folded around the corner across there. I am completely flat. Okay, so it's Monday morning. I'm back on the job. So Friday when I left, I forgot to put my clips in. So usually what I'll do is I'll put my clips into the fresh mortar, add a piece of scrap tile, and then just put a couple of wedges in to hold the clips in place so the thin set doesn't push them out. But sometimes you forget. Like I actually didn't even think about it on Friday. So what do you do when that happens? What do you do when you forget your clips and you come back and the thin set is hard? Well, that's actually not such a big problem as you might think. You just want to be careful that you don't ruin your waterproofing when you do it. So what I do is I have this oscillating tool, and I put a grout blade on there, and then I'll just cut out the thin set, the hard thin set, being careful not to push up against the board or your membrane or whatever you have, and keep it flat up against the tile and away from your membrane. If you're going to be doing this on electric floor heat where you got your wire in, you want to be very careful. I wouldn't advise it because if you cut that wire, you're going to be in a huge problem. Like on this floor here, I'm going to have electric floor heat, so I'm going to be very careful to make sure that I always get my clips in the day before when I finish for that day, so that I have them in for the next day. So another thing, let me put this down. Another thing you can do to make it a little bit easier so you don't have to go so deep is you cut your clips down. Well, not that one so much. You cut your clips down so you don't have to go as deep and they sit flat. If if it's a full size, it might not sit properly. Like, see that doesn't sit properly, but if you cut them down a little bit, then that will sit right, and that will work just as well as a regular clip with a full leg. Here's one with the full leg, and here's one that's cut down. So that's a regular clip, and that's one I cut down. So I'll even cut them down shorter than that if I need to, but usually that's more than enough. So I will be putting this next row of tile in. My clip situation is all set, ready to go. So I get a lot of comments that say, well, why do you use so many clips? Well, the recommendation for the number of clips is one on each side of the corner. Now, a lot of people think that that's too much. If you're doing a third running bond, then you could probably get away with fewer clips. But if you're doing a half running bond, like I'm doing a half running bond, and if you look at the box and the tiles, most of the time, any tile that's a large format tile, that's a tile that has one side longer than 15 inches, they recommend to do no more than a third stagger. And this here, you can see it's a half stagger. So the recommendation for the leveling clips is one on each side of the corner. So one here, one here, one here, and one here. Right? So you got these two done for over here, and then you need one here and one here. And because these are really good quality tiles, so there's not a problem. You can see it's absolutely flat. There's no lippage anywhere. If you skip on the number of leveling clips you're going to use, you might not get exactly flat like I have here, because believe it or not, the tile will bend. I have a video. I'll link to that video in the cards. if I remember. So anyway, I am going to continue on this bathroom. Okay, so another quick tip. Now, as you know, I protected my floor. There's a glass tile hexagon floor under this cardboard. And I protected it with the cardboard, and that'll protect it from all the thinset that drops from the wall, you know, it gets on the floor, anything, you know, dust, etc., etc. It'll protect it from that. But then I have my little platform here that has, you know, it has the rubber covers on the feet. But you always want to make sure that you're protecting your floor underneath. So right now, I'm just going to have a bucket of thinset on there. But later on, as I go up the wall, I'm going to have to stand on this. So I'm going to put a piece of 1/2-inch foam board under the leg. So when I stand on it, you get no pressure on the tile underneath. Even if I didn't have that foam board, it'd probably be okay. But why take a chance? Cut some scraps, put them under there, protect your floor. Okay, so when you're using your leveling clips, depends on what they are, but I always use the wedge system, like this here. So you have to employ a strategy so you don't move your tiles when you're tightening your clips. We've got these clips here, right, and I have them all pointed down. And these ones I have pointed that way, and these ones I have pointed this way. So if you put your clip, so it's pointing up, because these tiles are already set. When I go to tighten that tile, because I'm pushing up on the wedge, oops, I'm upside down here, because I'm pushing up on the wedge, that wedge is pushing up this way, so I could possibly move my tile. But because these are already set, if I put my wedge this way, so if I tighten my wedges down, like I'm going to go this way, and this way, and this way. Now once I get that all cinched down, I'm going to go ahead and do this one and this one, because this is not going to move because it's already being locked in place. And it's not gonna, this one's not gonna move out because I'm going this way with my wedge. Same thing on this. Now on here I forgot, because this is a polished tile, I use protection plates. So let me get these protection plates on and then we'll continue. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so here we go. So now that tile is locked in place. You can't move it. Now I'm going to do this one. And this one. That clip broke, I'll replace it. This one. And this one. So remove this, change this clip. So tighten the rest of those. And now this one's locked in place. This one is actually locked in place. And this one's locked in place. Now I'm going to go do the rest of these. Okay, so when you're installing high gloss tile, you want to make sure that you don't scratch it with the tools that you're using. Now I'm using this leveling system. This leveling system here. And it's got the wedges. Now if these wedges were brand new, then like here's one that's in pretty good condition. If this wedges were brand new, then I wouldn't use these protection plates because there's nothing on it to scratch it. It's plastic, so plastic is not going to scratch the porcelain. But because I've used them several times, it can be like some thinset on there, and there's in the thinset there's sand. So the sand could possibly scratch the porcelain. So I use these protection plates, so when I put the wedge in, it slides on the plastic and not on the tile, and you don't scratch your tile. Now with porcelain, I would probably be okay, even with a high polish, just using these old wedges. But why take a chance? If this was a marble tile or a natural stone tile, which is soft compared to porcelain, very soft, then the sand on these wedges would definitely scratch that marble. So in that case, you would want to definitely use some kind of protection plate. These protection plates are the ones that are made for this system, but you can get generic ones. I'll put a link in the description for the generic ones, and you can use those for any type of wedge system. If you're using a rotating system or any other kind of system, make sure if you're using it on soft material, that you do protect the stone from getting scratched. If this were just a regular matte finish and wasn't high gloss, then I wouldn't bother with the protection plates. If it was a honed stone, natural stone, then I would use a protection plate anyway, regardless of whether it was polished or honed. Okay, so as you're going up your wall, you always want to have your levels handy so you can check to make sure you're staying plumb, you're staying flat, and you're staying level. So as I'm going along, as I'm putting the tiles up, I'm making adjustments to make sure that I'm staying flat. So if I put this level on here, it's all completely flat and it's level. If I put my even my 6-foot level, I put it across there, I am completely flat. If I put it on top, so right on the top here, right across, you can see that I am perfectly level. Okay, so details matter. What's going to separate a good installer from an okay installer is all the little details. So let me show you what I mean. So this top, the niche, the bottom, this row, that's all cemented in. The top row of the niche, where they go around the niche, is not cemented in. So what do I mean by details? So you want to make sure that your lines line up exactly. You don't want it to be off, not even by a 16th. You want them to line up exactly. And then in the corners here, see how this has got a vein in the corner? Now I've been trying to make this vein kind of connect, but this tile doesn't really lend itself to that. But in the corners, like this corner here, you want to make sure all your cuts and needs are neat, and you got nice lines, and you could just cut a tile, and then when you come to this wall, you're just going to cut another tile for here, and then just keep going along. But if you want to go to the next level, number the pieces that you cut, right? See, that's 6 right, 6R, that's 5L and 4L, and this one here is 6L. So this means 6, the 6th row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this piece is what fell off there. So when you put this piece of tile up in this corner, it's gonna look like that tile just folded around the corner, because it's the piece that came off. So that's going to make a big difference. Instead of having, so you got this, you're going to have this with that grain following around, or you could have something like that. I think numbering the pieces and folding those corners so that the grain folds around is going to make for a much nicer job. Okay, so again today a lot of cutting. Let me see, there's 1, 2 full tiles. Well, actually I put these in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full tiles, and everything else is cut, and you have to make a precision cut every time because you want the lines to match up exactly. You don't want one sticking out further than the other. I also got the curb on, so tomorrow I'll put that last row in up there. That's all cut. So when it's all said and done, this whole wall has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full tiles. Everything else was cut. So I also, Monday I forgot to put my clips in. Today I did not forget. So what you do is you put in a piece of scrap, and then you put your clips in, and then you put put in a piece of scrap, and you put your clips in, and then you put in a couple of wedges on either side. That's so the clips stay in place, because as the thinset starts, as the thinset dries, it tends to push them away from the tile. So just some scrap, got all my wedges in, ready for tomorrow. Okay, so forgot about this curb. So this curb, this way, the long ways it's level. Front to back towards the shower, it's tilted in this way. This way, I don't know if you can see that, it's level. Front to back, it's tilted so the water will run off the curb and into the shower and up back into the bathroom. So that's it for today. I'm gonna call it quits, and tomorrow we'll continue with the tile. Okay, so back on the job next day. Today I'm gonna show you something that you probably don't know, and it's gonna help you if you're using a leveling system, if you have problems with those clips breaking out incorrectly. So these ground lines are 1/8 of an inch all the way around. They're 1/8 of an inch. So let me get, so this is my spacer, 1/8 inch spacer, and that goes in there. But these clips, let's try to get one out. I'm not, see, 1/8 of an inch. See how these are actually 1/16 of an inch clips? Are they here? 2mm, and these are 1/8 inch spacers. So you use a smaller clip than your grout line. Typically, I actually like to use a 1mm, a 1/32 clip in conjunction with an 1/8 inch grout line, or you can even use a 16 inch if you got a 32nd inch clip. But that way your clip there's room on either side, and it's not pinched between the tiles, and it'll break out easy every time. So this will just break right out without any problem, just like that. Break out clean every time. Okay, so I took out all these clips. You know, they all came out nice and clean except for one, because there was a lot of thinset that squeezed through that I couldn't see between under the, under the protection plate. So how do you get this out. Now this is very important that you do everything. You knock out your clips the next day, but here's how you get that out very easily. So now, because it's the next day, the thinset is still very soft, so you're going to clean out the thinset around the clip. Make sure you get it nice. Get all the thinset out. Free up the clip. And not scratching your tile. Then you're just going to get the back of your mount. Just give it a tap and it will come out, and then you can go the other way if you have to. And that came right out. Okay, so got the 2 rows in, got the bull nose in on this bottom side here, got the top row in up there, and again, very time consuming. Those all had to be cut. And there's 1 full tile right there. Everything else has to be cut. Okay, so I decided to get the tile under the niche there. I mean, under the, finish this seat here. I don't have to worry about it. So this is a piece of tile right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's a piece of tile. And then I have this one for the front. This guy that's mitered both sides, and that's gonna go like that. So I'm gonna cement that on, and that's gonna be finished. Okay, so that's on. This corner bench sheet is done. Just the foam board, so this won't sag. Otherwise than that, that's done. It's a little chip here. I think I'm gonna turn that upside down. Okay, so the chip is gone. I just turned it upside down, and now the chip is up here. And you're never gonna see it up there because it's gonna be caulked. So that is that. Okay, so I set this and this, and the reason I do that is so when I put the tile, the rest of the tile on, plus the shelf, this will be solid and the weight won't push it down, because the thinset, if the thinset is still fresh, you could push it, could push it down. And I have both of these are level that way, and they're tilted that way. Same with this one here. So water will run into the shower and not into the back. So I think I'm gonna call it quits for today. I didn't really get much done, but yeah, it's fine. I mean, did this cutting and fitting. So I usually start about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I get on the job, and then I usually quit about 2 o'clock. Might say that's early. It is early, but I can do that, and that's what I do. And then I go home, and then I do a bunch of other stuff that I have to do for YouTube and for related to my tile business, etc., etc. So my installations might end at 2 o'clock, but my day does not. Okay, so another little piece of information to make sure that your installation is better than the average installation is to make sure you stone or you sand or you smooth all your cuts that are going to be seen. Let me explain. So this is obviously a factory edge, and this is a cut edge. But it's actually pretty nice because I stoned that edge. I sanded that edge to make sure that it's not sharp at all. I run my finger along, it doesn't get cut. These edges here, those aren't stoned because there's going to be a piece of tile in front of it. You're not going to see it. So this is a cut tile, whether it be with a wet saw or with a snap cutter. This one here was actually done with the snap cutter, and see how this edge is really ragged and very sharp. You can cut yourself on that. So before, if this was going to be an edge that was going to be seen, then you would stone it. This is what you call a rubbing stone, or you can get the soft diamond pads, different grits. I actually had one of those and I really like it, but I lost it, so I got to order some more. But in the meantime, I still have my rubbing stone. So this is what the edge looks like before you stone it, before you sand it. And then I'll sand this off. Just like this, I need two hands to do that, but I'll just sand it off, smooth it off, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so I smoothed it off. It's hard to see in the picture, but I stoned that so you got a nice, smooth, clean edge. So one of the main things about installing tile is the layout. Very first thing you do before any tile goes on the wall, after all your prep is done, obviously, before you set a tile, you want to do a layout so you know what every piece is going to be before you start. And sometimes the layout you want isn't the layout you can get. Let me just illustrate what I mean here. So as you can see, I got 1, 2, 3 full tiles, and then I got a cut tile and a cut tile. So this tile here is not a full tile, and we used the piece that I'm going to use, a piece that falls off to start over here. So we're going to have a small piece over here. So you might ask, why don't I just start with a full tile so I can get a nicer pattern? Well, because the distance from here, from there, that corner to that corner there, to where that bullnose is, would actually end up giving me is more than 2 full tiles. So if I started with a full tile in the corner, I would end up with like an inch piece over here by the bullnose. So to get rid of that piece, we opted to just fold the corners and, you know, do like I said, so you get the pattern that follows around, and every other piece is going to be like that smaller piece over there. It's not too bad, but that's why we did it this way, to avoid getting the little sliver over here by the bullnose. Okay, so I got my scraps on, I got my clips in, ready for tomorrow, and let's call it a day. Okay, back again, and I cleaned up all the tile that's been installed already. So this is all cleaned up. I cleaned it all up, and I pre-cut this top row here, and this is why it's very important that your walls be perfectly flat and perfectly plumb. That way, see here, also here, all perfectly flat. That way you can pre-cut your tiles. These are all the same size. That's for this corner here, and those smaller ones are for this corner here. So they're all pre-cut so that I don't have to worry about trying to figure out what they are. I can just start in the corner and go. And then these ones here, when you get here, it's very important that this corner be plumb as well. So I had the plaster install this corner bead, and I gave him a piece of the hydroband board so that he could put that in, and that wouldn't slow me down putting in the board when I got here. So that's perfectly plumb. That's perfectly plumb. So all the tiles on this side are going to be all the same, obviously alternating, and same over here. That tile is exactly the same size as the tile on the bottom. Okay, so I got to mark this hole to cut it. So the easiest way to mark it is extend your lines up and down. You can use a square, speed square for the vertical lines, and use a level for the horizontal lines. Now, when you have to mark your tile, you can just put it anywhere that's convenient to get your lines in the same up and down. So now, then you got your square. Now I'm going to make a circle out of that, and then we're going to cut it. Use whatever's convenient. So I'll take that outside and use my grinder to cut that. Okay, so there it is. These aren't cemented in yet. I'm going to cut that piece. Then I'll make some mortar, cement those on, continue up the wall. Okay, so when you're cutting holes in tile for the escutcheons, for the mixing valves and for the shower heads, etc., you want to make sure that the escutcheon will cover that hole. So you don't want to cut it too big, but you don't want to cut it too small. I got all these cut, so that's a little off, but it'll get covered by the escutcheon. That one's good. That one's good. So just wanted to show you, and then this one here, I cut with a grinder, with a dry cutting blade, and these ones here I cut with a hole saw. So you can get them individually, or you can get them in a kit. So I have both. These kits are more expensive. Individually they're a little bit cheaper, but these are much better quality than those. But they both do the job. Okay, so a lot of cutting. This time holes and slivers, and I'll show you what I mean. I got one of the niches done. So this is a hole here, hole here, hole here. Let's see how many full pieces we got on there. We got 2 full pieces on there. That one and that one. Everything else has either a hole in it or it had to be cut. So that took a while to do just because of the holes. And this here, so yesterday I put the bottom on. Today I put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This niche has 14 pieces. So if you look at that, what we have, these are the pieces that came out of the tile. So this piece here was what fell off this tile. This piece here and this piece here is what came off that tile, and this piece here is what came off this tile here. So that grain, but when you step back and you look at it, that grain follows through as if the tile was just cut and pushed back. And this, this is the grain that goes through there, and those are the pieces that I saved, those ones down there for this niche here. So I'm gonna call it a day again, and be back tomorrow, and I'll finish that wall, get this started, and possibly do this niche here. This took a long time to do this niche, because you have to get, you want everything to be nice and even and exactly where it's supposed to be. I'll make a few more adjustments before I go. But anyway, that's that niche. Okay, so I actually counted how many cuts there are in this shower so far, and I'm not even done yet. This is why it's taken so long. So in the niche, that one niche, there are 17 pieces. So that one's going to be 17 pieces as well. If you add up all the cuts everywhere so far, there are 75 cuts. That includes the niche and over here. So full tiles in this entire bathroom, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 full tiles in this entire bathroom. Everything else is cut. So what's one of the secrets of getting a professional looking tile job? Details. Details, details. All the details is what makes the difference. So you want to have straight level lines. You want all your grout lines to line up. You want your corners to be precise. You want your cuts to be precise everywhere. You want your holes to be clean. You want to be square. You want to be level, and you want to be plumb. So if you get all the details, everything will fall into place. Another one that a lot of people miss is the corners. You want your grout lines to line up exactly in the corners. You don't want them, one up and down. If you like a tiny little hair off, when you caulk it, it'll hide it. But you want it to be perfect as you can get those corners every time. Even here, if you put a laser through here, again, right, this line goes straight through. This line goes straight through. All the details right, and your job will be at the next level. So I've been saying there's a lot of cuts on this shower, like 75 so far, and I just did another 4. So anyway, you might wonder, I showed what I was using, but I think that may be a good idea to go in depth a little more, exactly what I'm using to cut most of the tile. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see it in the video so well, but these are nice clean cuts. Of course I stoned them, but they're all very clean cuts. So all the straight cuts, like on the bottom, and these cuts here, they were all done on my Montolet. This is the kind of cut you can get on a Montolet. It's like an inch piece. There are some smaller ones. So here, this one here. That's another one I cut on the Montolet. And this is my IQ saw. This is a dry cutting saw. There is no water in the saw. It's all done by IQ 228 Cyclone. It's all done it's got a vacuum system. It's got a tray in it to collect the dust. I empty it out every morning. So this is what I've been using for this entire shower, including cutting that, cutting the stone on the niche. Just made a few more cuts. Now I'm going to cut this one around here, and then I'm going to keep on going up. Okay, so this corner shelf is on an angle. I don't know if you can see that. It's this would be level, so it's like about 1/4 inch per foot. So I need to cut this piece of tile to fit around here, but this has to be level and this has to be tilted, so I have to mark that tile somehow. So one way of doing it, obviously, is to put a level line across, and then you can get your tile. This isn't actually the tile because I already cut it. Then you get your tile. This goes over here, and then you have to turn it around. Then you have to see where your line is, and see where your line is, and mark it. And that's one way of doing it. But here is where a laser level will help you out. So here's my laser line. So I know this piece is cut to here. This is not actually the piece because I already cut the piece, but I'm just showing you. So I need to cut this. This piece has to go down here. So how do you do that? Just get your tile, put it in place, turn it upside down, mark your tile, one here, right? Then go to your saw where you cut your tile, and then I have obviously left a little bit of room for the cork. And there's your tile. Perfect fit. Okay, so it's 10:46. Can you read that? 10:46. Well, actually, just 10:47. So for anyone that's wondering what the time frame is on this, let me give you an idea of what I've done. I got here at 8 o'clock, and this is what I've done. Let me show you. So as you see it now, right? I've got this done so far. Doesn't look like I did much. Okay, so let's just go over exactly what I did. So the first thing I did when I got here, I knocked all these clips out from the second row all the way to the top. I cleaned up this niche, took out all the wedges and all the tape and everything. I scraped out any thinset that might have been in between the joists to get it clean, because you want to make sure you do that the next day when it's still relatively soft. I figured out what my pieces are here, and I cleaned up the edges on any of these tiles here, so that they're all exactly the same size. Those are the same size, those short ones, and these ones, if there was any differential. These actually here, the bigger ones were exactly the same. Those were about 1/8 of an inch difference, so I made them exactly the same size. So when I put them in the corner, see that one there, where that, at the very bottom there, where that grain comes around, like over here, where the grain comes around, right? I cut and fit all these pieces here that are under here. I got them exactly plumb and even and flat. And I made 2 shorts, and I also recorded several segments for the video today. So it took me about 2 and 3/4 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes to do all that. Plus I went down and got my mortar out of the truck. I got some water in my buckets. I mixed the thinset, and I did all that. I don't know if that's fast or if that's slow, but that's what I have accomplished in 2 hours and 45 minutes. Closer look. Flat. Flat. Nice neat corners. It's all about ability, not about what you're using. So if you're gonna do the work, you have to have the tools, and the tools you get are gonna determine how easy the job's gonna be. I prefer to get high quality tools so that they last and they do the job they're designed to do. Now, as far as cutting holes in tile, I love my hole saws, but the problem with hole saws is you need a million different ones to have the right size for every job. So let me just illustrate. I have this kit. I have this big one. I have another fairly large one. I have another one which is slightly bigger than this one. And then I have a bunch of different ones in the truck also. But the one thing I don't have is the size here. That's too big. That's too small. So I could go get another one, but this is a common size now, so I could probably just buy one of these. But this used to be a very common size. Haven't used this in quite some time now. So if you don't have the right hole saw, the next option is a grinder with a dry cutting blade. For the bigger holes, this will always be the right size. So I put this here because if that guy gets caught, it's gonna twist this way. That way, your thigh catches it, and you don't twist your wrist.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
That's one. Okay, so from here down, it's all cemented on. These ones here, that row and this row are not cemented on. I just have them there to, because I cut the holes, and I'm trying to cut the holes when I've got thinset on the wall. So now I can just take those down, get the mix and thinset and put them up. Actually, I am not doing that. It is the 23rd, December 23rd, and I'm off tomorrow, and I don't feel like mixing thinset. I'm going to go home early because I can do that if I want, and I'm going to enjoy my Christmas vacation. Well, call it vacation. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I'll be back here Monday. But in the meantime, I am going to, this will be the last video for this week. There won't be a video tomorrow, which is Friday. There won't be a video Saturday, but I will put all the videos that I did this week together and have it for Sunday. I'll put them all together. Not the ones from, because I already did the first bunch of videos in one long video. I'll put a link in there to that in the cards and in the end screen. And so Sunday at 4 o'clock, there'll be all the ones that weren't included in that video in the new long version video of all the parts that I did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today. So anyway, Merry Christmas, and see you Monday.